Hey guys, I'm gonna back here for that video, guys. Today I'm gonna break down my best running back options for week one for DFS. And as you can see on your screen, yes, we have every single running back option available for day one to talk about today. Yes, I am going to be doing wide receivers next. I've already did quarterbacks. This is running backs. We're going to do tight ends, and we're going to do, of course, defenses. Keep in mind that, of course, this upcoming week one is 7 days from now, so always monitor any players who do get injured or is healthy. Some players, it looks like they're injured for week one and then they become healthy. Some players look healthy and then they get injured. So just always keep an eye out on that. But with that being said, Christian McCaffrey is clearly number one. Let's be honest, it's not even a question. He does get the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which is going to be a little bit tougher of a matchup. But, I mean, he's not the chalkiest player of the week, I will say. But I'm at 60% ownership, 24 and 40 ceiling. And the highest ceiling I have for these, by the way, is 40. Could they get above 40? Absolutely. But I kind of have it set as a base. The highest ceiling is 40. The lowest floor is 0, right? So he should be a really good option. My favorite option of the week, and I think the guy who's going to be 80% ownership and probably going to get a crap ton of points, as his floor is 22 and his ceiling at 40, is Austin Eckler of the LA Chargers. Listen, this Miami Chargers game is going to be a high-scoring affair. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a nail-biter. It's going to come down to the very end. Both of these teams, the Miami Dolphins without Jalen Ramsey, the Chargers defense, who I think is pretty decent, but definitely not the greatest. As long as Tua stays healthy in this game, it's going to be a very high-scoring affair. So that's my favorite running back for the week personally. But again, like I said, there's a lot of good running backs we're going to talk about today. So Nick Chubb versus Cincinnati Bengals. I do have his floor at 17, ceiling at 30. I am at 60% ownership. The highest ownership running back wise this week I have is Bijan Robinson, and of course that's because everyone is excited to see Bijan Robinson. He also has somewhat of a favorable matchup, I will say, so that's nice. But again, let's be honest, it's the hype. It's week one. Everyone wants to see him go out there and put up some crazy numbers. He looked good in the preseason so far, so everyone just wants to kind of get a piece of that. And they want to be the guy who started Bijan the week one of the season and got $1 million. That's just how everyone is. So Bijan, I have an 85% ownership, and I think he'll probably be around that ballpark range. Derrick Henry comes in here at 70% ownership, 20 low and 40 high. I will say overall wise, name recognition alone gets him above 50% every single week. Obviously, his skill and talent level even higher than that, but there's going to be a lot of people who, may play DFS for the first time and say, oh, I know Derrick Henry, King Henry. He's like one of the best in the league. I don't think he's the best in the league anymore, but he's definitely still up there. Josh Jacobs just got his 1-year contract, got that figured out. Should have a little bit interesting of a matchup this week. Now, I do have him at low of 20 and high of 40 and a 70% ownership. Again, like I said, another matchup where it's just going to be a really favorable for him this upcoming week. Now, there are some running backs, and you're going to see this when we go down this list here, that are actually backup running backs to the starters, but they're still actually viable options. So keep that in mind. Just because someone is, not this technically a starter, does not mean that they're not a viable option, especially if their price tag is correct and you think they can return on your value. So Stevenson's the next guy that I'm really interested about. I have his floor at 15 and ceiling at 30, but I do have his ownership at 45%. I think a lot of people are going to get away from him on this matchup because they play Philadelphia. And let's be honest, if McCorkle Jones cannot move the ball correctly against Philadelphia, then Stevenson's also going to struggle. And I think that's going to happen in this game. The Eagles have a pretty good defense. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not able to move the ball much at all in this game versus Eagles defense. So that's something interesting. I do have Travis Etienne Jr. here at 65% ownership, 15 down, 30 up. Now, Joe Mixon is my first maybe of the chart. And listen, I think Joe Mixon is going to have a great day against the Cleveland Browns. But the problem is the risk and reward scenario. So I do have his, floor at 10, ceiling at 20. I don't think he really has the ceiling that gives you the, zero fear going into this game. And you got to keep in mind, again, it's a divisional matchup. This time it's in Cleveland. Cleveland has played the Cincinnati Bengals very tough, very strong. They have literally won every single matchup except for one since 2019. So with Joe Burrow coming off a, calf strain issue, he's 100%, but I'm going to tell you right now, I am pumping the brakes when it comes to Joe Mixon week 1. I don't love it, but I could see someone getting there, so I do have him as a maybe. J.K. Dobbins, I have as a no. I don't think J.K. is going to really do too well versus Texans defensive line that's star-studded. I could see Gus Bus actually having a little bit more, firepower. And it's funny because I have J.K. as no, but then I do have Gus Bus down here as a maybe. Because I think Gus Bus would be a better option for the Ravens here this week than J.K. Dobbins. And there's nothing like me hating J.K. Dobbins, but it really comes down to price tag. So right here for Gus Bus, I have him at, he's 4,500 by the way, which is cheap as molasses. He, of course, does have 1% ownership, 5 down, 17 up. And if I'm getting that for 4,500, I'm pretty dang happy. But if I'm going to go ahead, if I have to go ahead and give up 6,600 for that, no, I'm not. So that's why, again, like I said, sometimes backup players, even though it's the backup, they have better value if their price tag is better. So it's not always just the starter, he's the best. No, not the case. All right, so next guy we have here is Alexander Madison, another player who now Dalvin Cook is gone, so I'm going to say yes. I think he has really good potential this week. James Conner, I'm going to say no. I don't like anything with that Arizona Cardinals unit. I know they're playing Washington, and Washington's not the greatest defense of all time, but you know what? Guess what? I don't care. I don't want anything with Arizona. I don't know what their offense is going to be under either Joshua Jobs or Clayton Tune. It's going to be a mess. Either way, it's going to be a mess, and I don't want to be a part of that mess. So I'm just going to all out just punt that team out of existence. Aaron Jones. I have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon as a maybe. Down here I have A.J. Dillon as a maybe, and I have Aaron Jones as a maybe. The reason why I have him as a maybe is because, again, like I said, I don't want to touch this game. I really don't want to touch this Packers-Bears game because one side, I know the Bears, they're going to run the football like crazy with Justin Fields. They might dot up with, DJ Moore now having him in the system, in their offense. They're going to do that kind of stuff, which is good for their side, but for the Packers side, I have no idea what's going to happen because they could either play this game a little bit of one of two ways. First of all, they could play very conservative for the Packers side, just run the ball the whole entire game and say, you know what, we're not going to let Jordan Love make mistakes, we're not going to risk Jordan Love making mistakes, and we're just going to play kind of soft Winnie Hut Jr. football. That's okay, and I think that could be a system. But they could also say, listen, it's Jordan Love. We've had him for a couple years now. We believe in him. He looked good in preseason. We think he can go out there and play some good football. So they might unleash the, training wheels on this first week of the game. And if that's the case, and let's say they do get down by a lot early, it's very possible that we don't see much rushing at all after that point. So again, like I said, I need like 2 or 3 weeks before I'm even touching a Packers stack or any type of Packers lineups because I just don't know what we can expect because we don't know what the coaching staff's going to do. We have not seen, other than go back to when Jordan Love played the Chiefs last year because Rodgers got hurt, and that's the only time we actually had not hurt, I think he got sick. But that's the only time we ever got really a glimpse. And even then, the system was not created for Jordan Love. It was not a game plan that was structured around him. It was kind of just make up on the fly type of scenario. So we don't have a real true, breakdown of what's going to happen. So we're going to have to wait a couple weeks to see how they utilize Jordan Love in this offense. All right, so for the next guy, Cam Akers, I have him as a yes. I think Cam Akers is going to have a pretty dang good day. I don't think that Rams offense is going to do too much, but I think Cam Akers could be a pretty solid play. He's at 6,200, a lot cheaper than honestly, I would want him a lot cheaper, but I think he could still be a viable option. Najee Harris is a no. I love Najee, and I also love Jalen Warren, but I also have Jalen Warren as a no. And the reason why is because, again, you're going to have to play against that 49ers defense. That 49ers defense is ferocious. I know Nick Bosa might not be out there. It does not matter, though. They still have other good pieces on that defensive line. Kenneth Walker, keep an eye on his injury and how his injuries go into this game. I have him at 40% ownership, and I think injuries are going to really hurt his ownership overall wise. I do have him as a yes and a low of 10 and a high of 30. Damian Pierce, I have him as a maybe. This is going to be interesting because, again, like I said before, this Ravens defense, I don't know what to expect from them. Because on paper, they don't look the greatest. But if you know anything about the Ravens and how the Ravens play, they always have a good defense, even if they don't have the guys out there. So they definitely do have a good run defense in the fact that they have Patrick Queen, they have Roquan Smith, they have Justin, they have Michael Pierce. They have a couple of great guys out there, but I just don't know how I feel about Damian Pierce here. Damian Pierce is a sophomore guy after a really great rookie season. CJ Stroud should help out opening the run game a little bit. If CJ Stroud, though, if he struggles and he throws a pick or two, they can get down by a lot early, and the run game just becomes, pretty much pointless. Javonte Williams is absolutely a no, and I recommend do not start him this upcoming week. The reason why is because he's going to be on a small pitch count or snap count according to Sean Payton. So there's no reason to put him out there or even do anything with him. I recommend just not touching him with a 10-foot pole. Miles Sanders, I have him as a yes. Rashad White, Tampa Bay's offense is like Arizona's offense. I don't like it, and I don't want to touch it in any way possible. But going down this list here, Tyler Algier, I do have him as a maybe. The reason why is because, again, like I said, I know it's all about Bijan Robinson. But Tyler Algier has shown last year he is a capable backup. So there's a chance that he could go out there and play some good football. I'm kind of on the fence about it, though, because, again, like I said, I want to see the snap count of Bijan to Tyler. I don't think they're going to go out there with a first-round pick and just absolutely overdo it with Bijan Robinson. But this is the Atlanta Falcons, and after the Super Bowl and how they handle that, I cannot give, any type of, information moving forward. So Brian Robinson, surprisingly enough, is cheaper than Antonio Gibson. He's actually only like $200 cheaper. But I actually do have Gibson here as a maybe, and I do have Brian Robinson as a yes. I think Brian Robinson has higher upside, and I like him a lot better in this matchup than I would like Antonio Gibson. Nothing wrong with Antonio Gibson. I just think that overall-wise, Brian Robinson is a little bit more explosive, and I like him for that said reason. Now, going down this list here, some players I do have maybe that are kind of a little bit cheaper. I do have Tank Bigsley as maybe. If the Jags can get up by a lot on the Colts in this game, they might just start running the ball like crazy. And Tank is the, bell cow back. Travis Etienne's more the receiving back, and the bell cow back is more of Tank. Devon Achane, who is the backup for Raheem Mostert in Miami. I have him as a maybe because this game, again, could be a high-scoring game. Some goal line carries could help him out. Zach for Seattle, I do have him as a maybe because, again, if Kenneth Walker gets hurt or they just want to split the backfield, so it's possible he could do pretty good numbers. Tyler Chandler is the direct backup for Alexander Madison. Now, we're not sure how that backfield is going to be split up behind Madison. It's very possible it becomes like a 2-3 headed monster, and we just don't want to get involved in it. Rashawn Johnson is the backup for Khalil Herbert. Again, like I said, we're going to have to... I'm not touching anything with the Packers stuff until I find out what the Packers are doing. But, guys, that's all my running backs, my yes, my no's, and my maybes for week 1 of the season. Make sure to like and subscribe down below, and we will be doing wide receivers next. Peace out, guys.